Hello, and welcome to Chabot News for April 11th, 2024. My name is Jasmine Bester, and today we will be covering the eclipse that graced much of the east coast of America last Monday, a motorcyclist that was killed in Hayward, and a goat rescued from a freeway overpass. In entertainment news, Alan tells us about the new country album just released by Beyonce. And finally, in sports news, Diana has the latest updates on Caitlin Clark's women's basketball winning streak. All that and more coming up on Chabot News. Millions across North America experienced a nearly once-in-a-lifetime celestial occurrence on Monday as the moon crossed paths with the sun, turning day into night. Ivan Rodriguez is in Caryville, Texas, in the path of totality for this historic solar event.
After all the excitement leading up to this day, we were finally able to witness the total solar eclipse and those 4 minutes and 25 seconds of darkness that came with it. People traveled from around the country and also the world, and it's a moment no one will soon forget. A breathtaking cosmic event witnessed by millions of Americans from as far south as Texas to the Midwest and the Northeast. Awe on the faces of children and adults alike as the moon blocked the sun, briefly casting the earth in darkness.
Day turns to night. Animals start to behave differently. We're seeing changes in the Earth's atmosphere. It's a mystical, mysterious experience.
It's an event as rare as it is beautiful, with the sun's corona visible only to those lucky enough to be in the path of totality.
We're the only planet in the solar system that this is true for. The apparent size of the moon in our sky is the same as the apparent size of the sun in the sky.
In the hours leading up to the eclipse, communities hosted parties to celebrate their geographic good fortune.
It'll be amazing.
A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, that's for sure.
Scientists taking advantage of those precious 3 to 4 minutes to unlock more clues into our planet and beyond.
Better understanding what's happening at the corona at the start of the action helps us to not only model and predict what could happen in the future, but better protect our spacecraft from space weather events and life on Earth, like our power grids and our communication systems.
The science, the spectacle, the serenity of the moment, a once-in-a-lifetime event. The next total solar eclipse visible from the contiguous United States will occur in August of 2044. Cities across the mainland, also within the path of totality and outside of that path, experienced significant temperature drops reaching several degrees. About 32 million people lived along that path of totality, and even more people were able to witness at least a partial eclipse. The next total solar eclipse won't be visible for another 20 years. In Caryville, Texas, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Full solar eclipses occur every year or two, but they are often in places where almost no one can see them. For example, over the Pacific Ocean or Antarctica. If you were lucky enough to have been here on campus during the eclipse, you could have attended the eclipse viewing party hosted by Chabot College's very own physics and astronomy professor, Scott Hildreth. Our reporter, Don Wright, has the story.
This past Monday, on April 8th, people all over the country were gathered in parks, at racetracks, or just in their own backyards to witness the total solar eclipse of the sun as it passed across America. And here on campus, Professor Scott Hildreth was hosting an eclipse viewing party.
So today was special. Every place on Earth is blessed sometimes to have the moon seem to block the sun temporarily. And where we were here at Chabot today, we had a chance to see about half of the sun covered by the moon. And it's really a lovely thing. It's something that doesn't always occur. You get 2 eclipses of the sun every year, but you gotta be really, really lucky to be in the right place at the right time. You could imagine that folks that maybe were in Hawaii, right? The Earth hasn't turned enough for the sun to rise for them to have been able to see it. And people in Japan didn't see this eclipse at all. So it's kind of a matter of astronomical luck if you're in the right place at the right time.
The event drew a good-sized crowd and even got the attention of the United States Space Force.
So we're here today to support the NASA mission to watch the solar eclipse. So we're really looking forward to doing that. I have some contacts and some friends in DC that let us know about all these events across all of really Northern and Central California. And Chabot was one of the colleges that we heard about. And so we came out and wanted to support the event. I mean, obviously it's a huge event. It's one of the biggest solar eclipses that the Northern America is going to see really since the last century. So just looking to see the event, meet some STEM folks, some like-minded space people, just share the mission of the Space Force, and in turn have a great STEM sharing event.
Students of all ages were in attendance, and some of them brought their favorite toys with them, their telescopes.
5 years ago, or no, I guess 7 years ago in 2017, my wife and my son and I went to Oregon and witnessed the great eclipse of 2017. We were in the totality zone and got the full experience of the eclipse, including the darkness and the dogs starting to bark and the birds going to sleep and the whole 9 yards. And I can't get back east this trip. This time it's just too far and too inconvenient. So here I am looking at a partial eclipse with Scott and the rest of the people here at Chabot.
We had one telescope that's a really special one that Chabot's lucky to have, and that ends up allowing us to look at the sun's outer atmosphere a little bit. With that telescope, you can actually see enough light coming from hot hydrogen gas that makes these loops in the sun's outer atmosphere called prominences. And they're really special. You're looking at a loop that's 100,000 miles wide. That's almost 12 times the size of our own planet. And this loop of hot gas channeled by sun's magnetism, spreading out into space and then curving back down, is visible to people here. So that's pretty neat. You don't usually get a chance to see that.
This was not the first time an eclipse viewing party was held here at Chabot College, and it won't be the last.
I'd love to be able to tell everybody who did come that I was really appreciative that they came to Chabot to see this and share it with us. And for anybody who's watching, there'll be another one. Come to Chabot, come enjoy it with us. It's a great place to come watch an eclipse.
I'm Don Wright, reporting for Chabot College News.
Thanks, Don. Incidentally, this is Professor Hildreth's last semester here at Chabot College before he begins his retirement later in May. Anyone who has had the pleasure of working with Professor Hildreth or taking any of his classes will tell you how deeply he will be missed. Earlier this month, a spring storm hit the northeast wind, heavy snow, and strong winds. Hundreds of thousands of homes here without power on April 4th, including in New Hampshire, where crews were working 24/7 to restore service. Ross Ketchik takes a look at the conditions.
Trees and power lines toppling under the weight of heavy snow and wind as a spring nor'easter hammers New Hampshire. Outages peaking at roughly 170,000 customers without power by midday. Hundreds of Eversource crews spread out throughout the state to clear down branches and repair wires. Their work all coordinated here in Manchester at the company's control center, where dozens of people are monitoring for outages.
You can hear it right now. That's one of the alarms indicating that something may have tripped on the system. The operators here have been trained to respond.
By morning, Eversource is expecting to have 1,200 line crews dispatched throughout the state. President of Operations Douglas Foley says the #1 priority is addressing outages that impact public safety, including blocked roads. From there, they'll work to repair damaged areas that will get the most customers back online.
We had the ice storm last weekend, so within a short period of time, many of our customers are impacted for the second time in a very short period. So be patient. We're not going to rest till the last customer is restored.
Thanks, Ross. Aside from New Hampshire, the neighboring state of Maine was also being particularly hard hit with power outages from this storm. At one point, the two states reportedly had 500,000 customers without power. Pit bull owners and those who want one in the city of Aurora, Colorado, are facing yet another ban on owning these furry animals. On and off since 2005, pit bulls have been banned in the city. Tori Mason talks to dog lovers about the issue.
I guess it's how they train them, how their owner trains them.
Bill's not alone on the fence about pets. The controversial breed has made its way to ballots statewide.
I would say no, I wouldn't ban them. But then, you know what? Then I'd feel guilty if somebody got attacked.
The majority of Aurora voters backed the pit bull ban, but in 2021, City Council repealed it. That same year, resident Matthew Snyder filed a lawsuit challenging their decision. Last week, the judge sided with him, saying the council defied the will of voters. Today, Snyder told CBS Colorado he loves all breeds, and this wasn't about dogs at all. He says it was solely and exclusively aimed at protecting the decision of Aurora voters in 2014. Snyder went on to say, "I'm just protecting voters in elections. If I didn't, what other laws will the city council decide to overturn?" But in the years since that ban was repealed,
come here, babies.
Many pits became pets.
There's a lot of people that moved into Aurora because the ban was lifted.
Robbie wishes the council heard Snyder out before they repealed, before she adopted Ocean and Bjorn.
We weren't legal-minded at the time on this subject, and so we thought we'll just go ahead and get pits ourselves.
Now the city must figure out what to do next. Do they enforce the old ban?
Want to go fetch?
Or find a new trick for pits that are already here?
I'd move before they take my animals.
Thanks, Tori. The city is weighing a potential next step on the issue, which could be an appeal of the judge's decision. Now we turn it over to Alan for a look at this week's entertainment news.
Thanks, Jasmine. Kansas City's finest called in to help rescue an animal kidding around. And if you think you saw everything from yesterday's eclipse, think again. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
First responders received a unique call for help in Kansas City, Missouri Monday when a pesky animal got trapped on the edge of an overpass. You've got to be kidding me. No one knows exactly how the mountain goat ended up in this bad situation. But luckily, after several attempts, the animal was rescued. He's recovering at KC Pet Project, receiving fluids, and his owners are optimistic he'll make a full recovery. NASA arguably had the best footage from Monday's solar eclipse, with many of us glued to their running stream of the cosmic dance between the sun and the moon. One group that had a truly out-of-this-world view were those on the International Space Station. Check out how they saw the moment from 260 miles above southeastern Canada. That's the moon's shadow on the Earth as it moved from New York toward Newfoundland. And if you can't get enough of the eclipse, we've got one more for you.
Right now, you guys, this is happening. I love you. You marry me?
Yes! As the sun was hidden behind the moon, a man popped the question on the snowy mountaintop of Stowe, Vermont. Caught on camera during CNN's live broadcast, the timing was perfect. As the happy couple embraced, the sun began shining again, perfectly capping off this total eclipse of the heart. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
The perfectly timed moment happened as the moon completely covered the sun, and the surrounding crowd erupted in cheers for both the couple and rare solar event. When asked how they planned it and timed it so perfectly, the man who proposed said, "She had no idea it was happening, and I had no idea how to do it. That's how." Beyonce has made history with her new country album. David Daniel has that and much more in today's Hollywood Minute.
16 carriages driving away.
Cowboy Carter has debuted #1 on the Billboard 200 album chart, with the biggest sales week of any album so far this year. It's Beyonce's 8th album to top the chart, and she's the first black woman ever to debut #1 on Billboard's top country albums chart.
I have to take this case. He's got a gun. A gun! We have got to get the women to safety.
Okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
This is what
she's saying.
Look over here. I will look at it.
Do you even know what it is I do?
The first full trailer is out for Pool Man. Chris Pine makes his directorial debut and leads an ensemble cast including Danny DeVito, Annette Bening, Wanda DeWise, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Pool Man swims into theaters May 10th. More honors for Poor Things. Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo won Best Actress and Actor in a Science Fiction or Fantasy Movie at the 4th Annual Critics' Choice Super Awards. 3 other films also picked up 2 prizes. Tom Cruise and Rebecca Ferguson from Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning were named Best Actor and Actress in an Action Movie. Talk to Me won Best Horror Movie, and its star, Sophie Wilde, received Best Actress in a Horror Movie, and Godzilla Minus One took Best Science Fiction or Fantasy Movie, and Godzilla himself was named Best Overall Movie Villain. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Well, that's going to do it for this week. Remember to stay tuned to this station for all the latest in entertainment news. I'm Alan Sampson. Now back to you, Jasmine.
Thanks, Alan. In the East Bay, police and fire marshals are asking the public for help in finding a suspect who potentially set a fire on the San Jose State University campus last month. On March 31st, at about 5:20 p.m., San Jose State University police responded to a fire on campus. The alert said the fire was determined to be arson, and a suspect was captured on security camera footage. San Jose State University Police and the Arson and Bomb Unit from CAL FIRE's Office of the State Fire Marshal are leading a joint investigation and search for the suspect. The suspect is described as an unknown gender with a light skin complexion, medium build, between 5 feet 8 inches and 6 feet tall, and about 150 to 180 pounds, late 20s to early 30s, and dark hair. The suspect was wearing a black hoodie, mirror sunglasses, and a red tube top or sports bra type garment, dark blue pants, black shoes, and carrying a blue and white colored piece of clothing with a tan strap bag over their left shoulder and a red lighter in their right hand, CAL FIRE said. If anyone finds the suspect, they should contact San Jose State University Police. Now, let's hand it off to Greg Driscoll for this week's Top 5.
Thanks, Jasmine. Hello, I'm Greg Driscoll, and I'm going to let you know what I think the top 5 most stolen cars in California are. You might be surprised. After all, I was. When my ride was stolen by a USB cord, but that's a story for another day. On to the list. Number 5 is the Hyundai Sonata. This was stolen more than 5,000 times in 2022. Thieves targeted the 2015 model more than any other models. Number 4 is the Honda Accord. AutoDNA says that most Honda use the same parts. The Accord's in another popular target. Thieves can sell these parts easily. Nearly 7,900 Accords were stolen in 2022. The most targeted model year was 2001. Number 3 is the Ford full-size pickup like the F-150. It was nearly 43% higher than the number of GMC trucks stolen. Close to 9,000 Ford pickups were stolen in 2022. The most targeted model year was, again, 2001. Number 2 is the Honda Civic. The Civic is a target for the same reason as the Accord. In excess of 10,000 Honda Civics were stolen in 2022, again, just in California. In 2022. The most targeted model was the 2007. And the number 1 most stolen vehicle is the Chevy pickup full size. It's considered to be the hottest of the hot, but not in a good way. A total of 88 Silverado trucks were stolen in 2022. The most stolen year was the 2002. This is my top 5 in stolen cars. Car theft is on the rise in California, so remember to lock your eyes. I'm Greg Driscoll. Now back to you, Jasmine.
Thanks, Greg. The music, dance, and cultural extravaganza and party that is the annual Cinco de Mayo celebration in downtown Hayward returns Saturday, May 4th to the intersection of B and Main Streets. The fun starts at 10 a.m. with musical and dance performances, including various ballet folklorico groups and Mariachi Los Halcones de Oakland, followed by a series of live performances, including Third Soul and Prieto and the Mirage Band. The free, family-friendly event is hosted by La Alianza de Hayward and made possible by title sponsor One Subaru of Hayward with the support of the City of Hayward, Hayward Chamber of Commerce, and an array of other businesses, community organizations, and community leaders. In addition, there will be car and bicycle and pedal car shows, arts and crafts, food and beverage vendors, and much, much more. According to the Hayward Police Department, a motorcyclist was killed in a fatal collision involving another vehicle on the evening of April 4th. Hayward officers responded just after 6 p.m. to the intersection of Jackson Street and Grand Street. When officers arrived, both parties were still present at the scene. The driver of the vehicle, a 55-year-old man, did not sustain any injuries in the crash. The motorcyclist, identified as a 31-year-old man, was unresponsive and suffered injuries. Medical personnel responded and pronounced the man deceased at the scene. Police are withholding the identities of both motorists at the time, pending notifications of next of kin. Drugs and alcohol have been ruled out as a factor in the crash. Officials describe the investigation into the crash as ongoing. Now it's time for sports news with our sportscaster, Diana Cabrera.
Thanks, Jasmine. Former Detroit Lions cornerback Cameron Sutton turned himself in Sunday, April 7th on battery charges. The video on your screen is from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office in Tampa, Florida. An arrest warrant was issued last month for Sutton after an incident at his home. He's charged with domestic battery by strangulation. Deputies say the victim in the case is recovering. Sutton was let go by the Lions on March 21st. Caitlin Clark and the Iowa women's basketball team are still dancing. They advanced to the Elite Eight of women's basketball college tournament on Saturday by beating Colorado 89-68. Clark chipped in 29 points and had 15 assists in the game. The NCAA's all-time leading scorer is now facing a tough task. The Hawkeyes are set to square off next against the LSU Tigers in Albany, New York, for a chance to advance to the Final Four. That game will be a rematch of last year's NCAA championship game. LSU beat Iowa 102-85 last year. Clark said she is excited to play LSU again. She said the match will be a really great game for women's basketball. That's going to wrap it up for sports this week. I'm Diana Cabrera. Now back to you, Jasmine.
Thanks, Diana. A new study shows the weight loss drug Wegovy does more than just help people shed some pounds. Researchers found the drug provides health benefits to people with diabetes and a common form of heart failure. A previous study conducted last fall showed Wegovy helped people with heart failure, but researchers did not examine the drug's impact on diabetics. The new study offer further proof that Wegovy benefits extend to those patients. The Food and Drug Administration approved Wegovy to fight obesity in 2021. In the last month, the FDA approved the drug to help people reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke in adults with either cardiovascular disease or people who are overweight. The study was published on Saturday, April 6th in the New England Journal of Medicine. And finally, in keeping with the theme of our lead story, one New Jersey couple experienced a little ray of sunshine during Monday's solar eclipse, metaphorically speaking. Evelyn Shue made her earthly debut at 2:27 p.m. Eastern, which is when the moon was starting to block the sun. Her mother, Sarah, says the celestial activity above may have played a factor with Evelyn's birth, as she arrived 2 days early.
This is Evelyn, and she's our little eclipse baby.
We love her and we're glad she's here, even if it happened during the eclipse.
That's a cool stat for her to have, to say I was born on the eclipse, and maybe that might even trigger some an interest in science and maybe even a future astronaut.
Evelyn is healthy at 6 pounds 9 ounces, and she has the bragging rights of being born during an eclipse. CBS Philadelphia reports Shue was born at Virtua Mount Holly Hospital in Burlington County. Her parents hope that being born during a total eclipse will bring her a lifetime of good luck. That's all for Chabot News this week. Thanks to all the students and staff in the Mass Communications Department here at Chabot College for making this production possible. You can watch us anytime online at youtube.com/ChabotTV. Stay tuned to KCTH Channel 27 on Comcast for more Chabot TV.
Watch Chabot TV on Fire TV, Roku, and Fire TV Plus using the Cablecast ScreenWeave app. Tune in on Comcast channels 27 and 28 or channel 99 on AT&T UVerse for convenient viewing. Your entertainment simplified.